Greetings, guys. This is once again your gorgeous Chief Patman Sinatiraja recording the long-awaited Wednesday message number 70 or 71. All right, now I'm sure you guys are shocked. What am I doing in this brand new environment? Well, I borrowed Mr. J.R. Mayer's office because I'm right now in the beautiful country of Thailand. All right, on my way to Dubai, and I basically wanted to record this behind JR's desk, behind a QNet desk, all right, so that you get a slightly different environment. As you can see, his office is remotely not as beautiful as mine, but then again, not everyone can have perfection in their lives, all right. Guys, it's been an exciting couple of weeks. I've been traveling. I'll be traveling a lot, Dubai, Turkey, and then back to Bangkok, and I wanted this Wednesday message to highlight to you a very important aspect of our business, and that's why I have this beautiful flip chart next to me. So we're going to do a little bit of drawing and talking at the same time. So you morons who are not good at focusing, all right, learn how to focus, okay? Ladies, you can just focus on me, that's enough. But the guys and everyone else, you know, you can look at other things, okay? Now, bottom line, over the years, over 16 years, I come to realize one thing, that firstly, QNet is a business. All right, and a lot of people get confused between this concept of it being a business, a network marketing business, a passion business. You know, there's so many definitions, but bottom line, QNet is a business. All right, it's a concept of entrepreneurship. That means instead of working for somebody to achieve a level of survival, you work for yourself. You become your own boss. And that's what entrepreneurship means. That you are responsible for your own success, your own dreams, all right, becoming a reality. That you're not at the mercy of an employer who decides how much money you make and decides where you take your family for holiday and decides what car you drive. So the trend of the world today, all right, is a lot of people are moving towards entrepreneurship. Right? They all want to be an entrepreneur. And millions of people around the world are moving into our concept called network marketing. All right? And they all get into network marketing because firstly, network marketing has no pre-qualification, as you know this. All right? That's why even I got to sign up. All right? Or Arun Adli Sati, I don't even think they're educated and they got to sign up. Okay? All right? And it's something where anyone and everyone can participate. And network marketing is a concept that's easy to understand, easy to duplicate. However, all right, not everyone who comes into network marketing becomes a multimillionaire. And I was spending years trying to identify why. All right, firstly, they don't take it seriously enough. All right, they don't take it like a business. Because I always tell you in my training, if you invested $1 million and launched a boutique or a restaurant, all right, you would take it seriously because you put in $1 million. But in QNet, you can start with 2,000 US, 10,000 US, you know, which is peanuts in today's economy. All right, 10,000 US dollars today is not even money, guys. Wake up and smell the coffee. All right, everyone is buying watches today for 10,000 US. Okay, all right, some of my friends have dresses which are 10,000 US. Can you imagine? All right, pieces of cloth stitched together. So how do you get somebody to take our business seriously? Even though our business doesn't look or feel or sound like a traditional business. Okay, and this is what I wanted to talk to you about. That you have to take this business seriously. Because there's no difference between you and Steve Jobs, all right, or Dhirubhai Ambani, okay, or Bill Gates, all right, or Richard Branson, okay, because there's no difference. They own a business. All right, which they built into huge multi-billion-dollar empires. Now you own a business, and technically and proven, you could make as much money, all right, as anyone else out there in traditional businesses. All right, if you understand the logic of QNet, you can make $1 million a month. You could make $2 million a week if you choose to. The comp plan allows you to do it. The comp plan caters for you to make $1 million US a week. Now, has anyone made $1 million a week in QNet? Not yet. But is it possible? Yes, it's possible. All right. Now I'm sure you're sitting there and thinking $1 million a week, and you're doing a rough calculation right now of your tracking center. All right. Now, one tracking center maxes you out at 20,000 over US dollars. All right, at Diamond. Okay, you do the math. How many tracking centers you need to max out? All right, technically you need 5 times 10. You need to max out 50 tracking centers a week to make $1 million a week. 50. Maxing out 50 tracking centers a week. Now you're sitting there and saying, oh my God, I haven't even maxed out 001. But that's not the point. The point is it possible to max out 50 tracking centers a week? And my answer, all right, as loud as I can, is yes, it's possible. Because if you can max out 1, you can max out 2. If you can max out 2, you can max out 3. If you can max out 3, you can max out any amount of tracking centers you want. Do you understand? All right, it's simple logic. Okay, now think about this. In a traditional business, guys, you have an entity, you have a shop, all right, and you have employees. And how do you make money? You focus on the shop and you focus on the performance of your employees. All right, you want your director of sales to do this, you want your sales rep to do this, you want your accountant to do this, you want a lot of different categories of divisions. But in QNAP, all right, it's very simple. You have a tracking center, okay, which is divided to left and right. Now this tracking center is your business, all right, that is your company. All right, I know you got 3 headers, 7 headers, 13 headers. I'm talking about one tracking center right now, okay? All right, this is your company. Now, it's not a physical structure. It's not a corporation. Sometimes it is, all right? It's not a big building with 200 chairs and tables for like a restaurant. Or it's not a boutique, but it's your tracking center. Now, you are the tracking center owner, all right? Which means you're also the CEO. MD, all right, chairman, everything, that's you. Now this tracking center generates income, all right, which is your revenue, all right, and when you get your revenue, you pay some costs, or what we call OPEX, or operational expenditure, all right, and then after deducting, you get your net profit. All right, which is your money, which you use to maintain and sustain your lifestyle. All right, so you want to buy a Ferrari, this has to be big. You want to buy a private jet plane, this has to be bigger. All right, you want to buy a house in every major city in the world, from Paris to London to New York. All right, this has to be bigger. Okay, if you want to get married, this really has to be huge. All right, okay, and if you want to get married again, you need a much bigger net profit, I guess, okay. Now, this tracking center is your business, all right, and the performance of your business is based on what happens on the left and what happens on the right. It's that simple, the logic of our business, all right. As long as this grows and this grows, all right, you make money, all right. Now, how much money do you make? It depends how big this grows and how fast it grows, right? Now, what do you have here on the left and right? You have people. You have people on your left and right, okay? We call them your downlines. D-O-W-N, yeah, downlines, okay? They are not your employees. Now, this is a major shift of mindset. What does it mean? That they are your downlines but not your employees. It means that you cannot instruct them. That means if they don't listen to you, there is no punishment. All right? Because you're not paying them a salary anyway. They are just like you. They are entrepreneurs, all right, whose growth benefits you. All right? If they become richer, you become richer. Left and right, of course, not left alone. Okay? Now, this group of people has something called an activity they have to do. And I've said this a million times. What activity, all right, should both these people be doing? And you know it. It's presentation. All right, that means this activity these people are doing every day generates BV, which pays you money. Okay, I'm not doing a business presentation. I'm just trying to put it in a visual effect that you understand what's going on. Now, if you have, all right, 1,000 people doing presentation here and 1,000 people doing presentation on the left and right, you're going to make a lot of money. All right, you're going to max out this tracking center. Okay, I'm very sure that you will be maxing out this tracking center. You could even have 100 people doing presentation, 100 people doing presentation, and you can still max out this tracking center. As I shared during VCon, you could have 50 people doing presentation, 50 people doing presentation, focus on 5,000 BV, 7,000 BV, 13,000 BV, and the ever beautiful 21,000 BV. You would still max out. Alright? So if you look at the logic, there's two things you have to do. First, you have to create a culture in your organization left and right. A culture of presentation. The presentation should be the most defining culture in your organization. That you, your leadership, everyone speaks the same language. Presentation, presentation, presentation. Now you have to sustain that culture. Alright? You got to maintain it. You cannot allow this week full of presentation, next week no presentation. That is an unhealthy business. You need a healthy business. And every healthy business is consistent. Restaurants that open 7 days a week are more consistent than restaurants open Monday, Wednesday, Friday only. Alright? You must be a moron if you have a restaurant only open 3 days a week. Alright? And you need the culture of presentation to happen. Secondly, you need a culture of the size of product. And I'm not talking the physical size. I'm talking about 3,000 BV, 5,000 BV, 7,000 BV, 11,000 BV, 13,000 BV, 21,000 BV. You understand? So once you set that culture in your organization, you can already decide whether this tracking center can max out. Now, there is a challenge. Now, the challenge in a traditional business, everyone works for you. Alright? Everyone is your employee. Okay? And everyone is your employee. Therefore, you have a certain amount of control. Alright? I call it negative control. That means if you don't work, I don't pay you your salary. Now, in network marketing, in QNet, that control does not exist. Because QNet pays the commission to your downline. You don't. Right? So if you don't have control, what do you have? It is called influence. There is control and there's influence. In traditional corporations and traditional businesses, there is control over the people who decide the revenue. Alright? In network marketing, it is not controlled. It is called influence. You must be able to influence your organization. And how do you influence your organization? It's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm influencing my organization around the world. Alright? But you have to influence an organization. And influence takes far greater effort than control. Influence means you have to care. Number one. You have to care. You don't have a choice. If you don't care about your downlines, you will never, never max out. I'll give you my word. You have to care about their success more than you care about your own success. Because this is the most logical thing. Because if I get this guy to max out and I get this guy to max out, I automatically max out. So why on earth should I focus on my max out? I should focus on these guys max out and these guys max outs. And I automatically max out. That's the beauty of network marketing. The more you help your downlines to make money on the left and right, make sure it's balanced left and right, you automatically make more money. Right? It is actually the most beautiful aspect of QNet and network marketing. Alright? So I just spend time on the left, I spend time on the right, focusing on their income, getting their income up. and automatically I start to max out. Now what happens when you max out one tracking center? It becomes a comfort zone because you believe that you have reached the pinnacle of success. I maxed out, congratulations, let's all hold hands and sing the max out kumbaya. Alright, you should not. The minute you are consistently maxing out one tracking center, what do you focus on? Max out the next tracking center. Max out the next tracking center. Alright? Max out the next tracking center here, or another tracking center you have here, another tracking center you have here. Because remember, when you max out 50 TCs a week, you make $1 million US a week. Correct? Yeah, 5 TCs, 100,000, 50 is 5 times 10. Yeah, 50. 50 TCs a week, you make $1 million. Now I'm waiting for the day when there's somebody in QNet who maxes out 50 TCs. You just have to duplicate exactly what you did on your first TC. That is, create a culture of presentation, create a culture of size of product BV, and work very hard to influence your left and right. Have that power of influence over your left and right, and focus on their checks, and your checks will automatically be achieved. This is what I apply to achieve that goal of maxing out. Do you understand? But guys, even if your check right now is $500 US a week, or $2,000 US a week, or $5,000 US a week, doesn't matter. Your check right now could be $200 US a week, and you stand at the equal and exact position as I did, Dato Sri did, Japa did, many years ago. But look at us today. So all you have to do is understand that whether you are 200, 5,000, 2,000 US, you still can achieve max out. If you treat this tracking center seriously as a business, that you are the CEO, that you are the MD, alright? And CEOs and MDs never switch off. There is no off time. There is no downtime. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Richard Branson works 24 freaking hours a day. Dato Sri Vijay Ishwaran, alright, works 24 freaking hours a day, because for them, it's not only about doing it once, alright, it's about doing it 50 times. For them, alright, the mountain, alright, once you reach the peak, you find a higher mountain, a bigger dream, and never slow down. So today I'm observing that firstly, alright, many people are maxing out, and I'm so proud. After VCon Malaysia, we went on a max out drive. If you can see, all my messages is about max out, max out, max out, max out. Alright, but I want you to think even bigger. Which one of you watching my video right now has enough guts, alright, enough bravery to reach the point of maxing out 50 TCs and proudly come and see me with $1 million commission, alright, a week? That's my vision. That's what I want to see. Alright, that's my dream. Okay? Alright guys, but you have to understand this. This is a business. This is not a hobby. This is not something you want to try. If you want to try something, put some goldfish in a bowl and try to look after them. Trying is not an option. Trying is a joke. It does not exist. Alright? Because you cannot try to do something. You either do it or you don't. And you have to treat this tracking center as your Apple, as your Microsoft, as your QI, alright, as your Alibaba.com, as your Amazon. Alright? You got to treat it as yours, your corporation, your company, your own business, a legacy that you will leave behind for generations to come. Alright? Like how Bill Gates' kids today, alright, are billionaires from the day they were born. Now you want your kids to be born as millionaires. Then you got to start maxing out your first TC. And after that, max out the next, max out the next. Now I don't care which level you are. Like I told you, if you are 200 US a week, Alright? In 2 months, you can max out. I've seen it happen. In 1 month, you could max out. It all depends on the culture on your left and right, and the fact that you think like a CEO, like a managing director, and not like you're keeping goldfish in a bowl. It is time for you guys to grow up and understand that what you have in your hands is not only a QNet opportunity, it's a business that you own as an entrepreneur, that you are the CEO, the managing director, and you are responsible for everything. The only difference is you don't have control. You must have influence. All right? And influence requires you to work much harder than somebody who just has control. So my question to you out there, all right? How much influence do you have over your organization? How much influence do you have over your leadership? How much influence do you have over whether you're going to max out this week or not? That's a question you have to ask constantly. Now, I work hard 24 hours every day, whether I'm in Thailand, Malaysia, Dubai, Turkey, whether I'm on a plane, right? I work very hard to be able to influence all of you, okay? Because I care, right? I care about your commissions. I care about your dreams becoming a reality. Dato Sri Vijay cares. Japadas Bismarck cares. That's why they're still working almost 24 hours a day until today after 16 years. So guys, wake up and smell the coffee. You're not a networker only. You own your own business. You are CEO. You are managing director. Ask yourself, are you behaving like one? Are you dressed up like one? Are you working hard enough? All right, compared to the great CEOs and bosses around the world. The only difference is, if you influence your left and right, the right way, the right system, the right choice of products, and the culture of presentation, you max out. Right? Max out is the easiest thing. I know you're going to say, oh really Chief, but seriously guys, max out is the easiest goal to achieve if you want it. If you want it bad enough. Alright? And I said last Wednesday, how do you influence your left and right? Spend time. Spend time. There's no shortcut. Spend old-fashioned time with all of them. And that's what you need to do, guys. So please, wake up and smell the coffee. You're not selling products only. You're not having meetings and coffee. You are an entrepreneur. You own, for the first time, most of you, for the first time in your lives, you own your own business, which could be the greatest legacy, which will be the greatest legacy you will leave behind for generations to come. So take your situation right now very seriously. First, let me tell you to your face, if you're watching this video, you're not working hard enough. You're not switched on 24 hours a day. You need to change that immediately. And remember this, 50 TCs maxing out a week is $1 million. Is it possible? My answer is very simple. Yes, it's possible.